So welcome in, everybody. I started a little early just to make sure the camera is behaving. Open up my laptop. Okay. The mute button is not pushed. Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Testing, testing. Okay, I really want the other device to work. I don't know why it's not working. Ah, I think I discovered why it's not working. I think I found the culprit. Let's try this dance again. I promise you, I will become a better YouTuber when it's all said and done. How about now? Can y'all still hear me okay? Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Okay, yes. Y'all can hear sound. I think it was my little device here. One of them was not charged. So this one over here was not charged. So I had to find one that was charged. So charge our devices. That's the lesson learned. Hey, Club Carnivore. Oh, Club, Nikki, you missed it last week when I still have not posted the pictures of the stuff we smoked on the pellet grill last week, but that's okay. Hey, the Boss Way. Hey, Kindy K. Let me say hi to y'all. Hey, Nikki from Club Carnivore. Make sure y'all are connecting. Again, it's #chickens to connect. Timmy, Chicken Explorers. Elabrahamancito. I'm not saying your name right, but I tried. Hey, Joe. Good to see you. And of course, Kindy K. And then I know Okies was here earlier. And then I believe even Raquel, I know you're in and out. And then Tanya, I know you were here earlier along with Okies. Okay, so let's get this party started. Okay, so Italian wedding soup. It's one of my, so first off, I love most things, all things Italian. But this is a soup that I've had, I'm pretty sure I had it stateside. And it's just a delicious soup. I like clear broth type soups that are, they have a good amount of veggies. They have, some meat, but that you can taste the broth and taste the seasonings together. Those are kind of my elevate me to you. Good to see you. Hello, Letizia. Good to see you. And so this is a version of an Italian wedding soup. I am not Italian. I wish I was. I think my mother has 1% Italian in her, so I'll claim it. But I do love Italy. I've been a couple of times. So again, I am not Italian, but I love most things Italian. So the key to this soup, you can use other pasta shapes, but the ancini di pepe, and that's how I'm saying it, ancini di pepe, this is what I use. This is what is recommended. It is a very, very tiny, tiny, tiny pasta. If you can't find this, you can do those, like you can do the tinier version. You can use orzo, but I highly recommend looking high, low, everywhere for this pasta. I highly, highly, highly recommend looking for this pasta. You're from Naples? Oh my goodness. Yeah, let's, Victor, you can stay and enjoy. But we are uplifting community here, but you are welcome to stay and enjoy or go find better tasting food that you think is impressive. But at the end of the day, we are an uplifting community here. So good to see you, Maine, and good to see you, Gray. So yeah, so this is great pasta right here. I know I have people that do want to look at the importance of nutrition. So this is a carb, but again, these are tiny. It's going to be mixed with a whole bunch of stuff. 40 grams of carb, 2 grams of fiber, 8 grams of protein. So there's a good amount of protein per serving in this particular meal. So here we go. So first up, and again, I am not Italian. There are many ways to make meatballs. This is a way to make meatballs. In the description is where I'm getting this recipe from. It's just cookingclassy.com. It's a recipe I've used a couple of times. As I've shared with y'all before, I am doubling my recipe because I like to cook for the week. And I know it's the week of Christmas, but we're going to be eating away from the house. And so I'm not necessarily bringing food back here. So I wanted to make sure there's food for the house. I don't wear gloves. I have gloves, but I don't wear gloves. I will take my Fitbit off, but I touched the meat. I washed my hands. I did all the things. So we are going to, but I do want to get paper towels ready because this will get messy. So I don't want to turn the burner on first. I do want some olive oil. I'm just going to do olive oil. Yes, I do seed oil. You know, I do, but when I'm sauteing, I don't use extra virgin olive oil for sauteing. That's extra virgin olive oil is more of and my friends from Naples, y'all let me know. Correct me anything I say here. Extra virgin olive oil is more of a finishing oil, like if you're going to throw it on a salad or use it as a dip. Olive oil is more for your grilling, sauteing, and marinating. Is just the non-extra virgin part. So yeah. Why do I keep cutting out? I'm so sorry that I keep cutting out. My apologies. So yeah, thank you, Maine. And yeah, you make sure y'all are connecting with each other. Again, it's chickens, #chickens to connect. Okay, let's get busy here. So let me let you know the ingredients. So the ingredients for the meatballs will be, it is ground beef. You can also do ground turkey. I did ground beef. I did, they didn't have the ground sausage that I would have preferred, but they did have the Italian sausage in the casing. So that's what I went ahead and went with. It's not a big deal if you can find the ground pork they did not have. So they just had the Italian sausage in the casing. The biggest difference is, of course, your sausage is going to have more to make a sausage is going to have more of the fat, the filler, all the things to make sausage. And I know all my pause people are there, but we're talking food here. And I would have rather had ground pork, but the store I went to didn't have it. So the ingredients for this will be, if you're doing a single serving, it's half of what I'm saying. So a pound of ground beef, a pound of ground pork, if you can find it. It's going to be half a cup. So if you can get an Italian bread or French bread, I just had normal white bread with me because we're going to make dressing later in the week. I'm going to make it for my mom. So I just use regular white bread, but you want it to sit out a bit since you're going to put it as part of since it's going to be part of the meatball mixture. You don't want it to be completely soft. So you want it to kind of harden just a little bit. So again, I'm mainly talking about the stuff for the meatballs. So real quick, hey Okies, I think I saw you come in. Let's see if I'm missing anybody else. I know my moms will let me know. And so again, half a cup of the white bread. You're going to use a lot of parsley for this recipe. It calls for fresh parsley, but guess what's not in my garden right now? Fresh parsley. So we're just going to do dry parsley. We'll live. There'll be some oregano. And so I'm almost out of oregano. So since I'm almost out of oregano, I can't believe that I just have some Italian seasoning that I'll add to it. You know, you make up for what you don't have. So the recipe calls for again, the meatballs, the shredded Parmesan. So if you can get the shredded Parmesan, try 2. And then 2 large eggs. These are probably more medium-sized eggs. Don't y'all love that I can pick from the egg sizes that I need? That's probably more medium. But look at this. I'm going to show you all my beautiful fresh eggs from the week. Look at this. Look at this array of eggs that the ladies got to me. Look at that beautiful array of eggs right there. So we're going to find 2 large eggs out of here and so that will be for the meatballs. Okay. So there we go. And then we'll have, from there, we'll have some, what am I trying to say? The 2 large eggs, and then just salt and ground pepper, all the things. So let's get messy. Okay, make sure there's not any questions. Just cook. Sounds great. Like I said, I'll do my best. I don't know what's happening. It's probably because I'm overworking it. This will be my, 3rd live in a couple of days. So I'm probably working the machine too much. Here, hold on. Let me put it in a different spot. Okay, let's put it there and see what happens. Okay, let's get messy. Okay, so we're going to mix all of this together. Sorry, you're going to probably see my fro come in. So large mixing bowl. I'm going to add the breadcrumbs, which I believe I said, because I'm doubling it, it's going to be a cup. I do measure things like this out because I don't necessarily want it too bready. So, and any leftover breadcrumbs, of course, I'll use for the dressing. I won't go live on the dressing because I'm not going to make the dressing. I'm not going to probably make the dressing till Wednesday. So there's that. We'll do our parsley, which I'm just going to go crazy. It does call for a good amount of parsley. So that's probably a little bit more than a 4th cup, but that's okay. Let's do my oregano. It's probably, again, more oregano than I need, but that's okay. And then I forgot what the cup was. I think it was half a cup of the Parmesan. Let me stand by. Apparently I say stand by a lot. I learned that last night. So yeah, 1 cup of shredded Parmesan and then my 2 large eggs. And then that's the meatballs. Okay. So we'll measure out. This is half a cup spoon right there. Put that all around. Okay. And then let me do my egg. And as I've told y'all before, I save my eggshells to put back, either feed back to my girls after I've crushed them up, or to put in the garden. So I'm getting hungry already. I'm so sorry. Don't get too hungry. And then just salt and pepper. So my pepper grinder broke the other day, so I'm going to need to get a new pepper grinder at some point. Need to get a new pepper grinder. Okay, that's probably more salt than I need, but that's okay. Yeah, so I'm very sad that my pepper grinder broke, so I'll have to gift myself one for Christmas. Okay, now time to mush. Oh, you know what? I probably forgot the most important thing. I forgot. There's supposed to be some garlic in here. And so that's why I got some paper towels out. So forgot my garlic. So this recipe calls for a lot of garlic, calls for a good amount of garlic, not only in the, wait, I thought this called for garlic. Maybe I made that up. Okay, the meatballs, I guess I made that up. The meatballs don't need garlic in the, that's okay. So I don't know why I thought they needed garlic in the meatballs, but that's okay. So it's about 8 cloves of garlic once we make the recipe. Oh, sorry, once we make the soup part. Okay, so you want to get everything incorporated. It can be very relaxing. If you're not a meat eater, look away. But the title did say meatballs, so I know sometimes that can be misleading. Okay, I just want that. It does say not to overwork it, so I'm probably going to slow down here in a second. I just want to make sure that sausage is broken up so that every bite gets some Italian sausage and also some beef. So the written recipe, when we start to form the meatballs, indicates 3/4 size. I like them a little small. Every recipe will be different on how big to make the meatballs. Hey, have fun in nature. Good to see you. Hey, hen house. Good to see you. So that's probably more than because what is it is it 2? Yeah, that's probably about what I want. Yeah, and you can make them smaller than that. So this is really tedious. So if y'all have questions, I will answer questions because I probably did not guesstimate how long it will take to roll up meatballs. But if y'all have questions for me, Jen, do you eat chicken? That must be hard. I do eat chicken. It doesn't. I've learned to separate, my pets from the fact that I'm very much an omnivore. We don't necessarily eat meat every meal, but I am able to eat chickens. My sister doesn't eat meat, and it's hard for her to cook chicken or turkey because I have chickens. But it's something that she recently she has learned that she has to get that protein in, so she started eating chicken again. But I know how to separate. Once the thing is named, it's not food, right? Now that's not to say I won't. Growing up, we ate chicken. We ate our chickens. One of the stories that I've shared with personally, we had 4. I think they were Virginia Red. They were either Rhode Island Reds or Virginia Red roosters, and they were better attack dogs than our dogs were. These 4 roosters would just go after people who came onto our property, and they attacked a few people. And so our dad took us out. He showed us how to deal with one of the roosters, and then each of us, because there was 4 roosters, 3 of us, and so each of us dispatched a rooster. It's actually quite quick and painless if you do it right. There is a thing rigor mortis does, so they do. There is the saying running around like a chicken with his head cut off. That is a true thing that happens. The chicken will run around with their head cut off. So that is a real thing. Sorry for the graphic. But yeah, I mean, we hunted as kids, we fished, we hunted. I was 5 years old when I learned how to point at something and hunt. And I've known how to do that, since about the age of 5. Now, as far as raising animals, we had goats, I have always wanted pigs, and my father told me, he was like, well, we'll get 2. One will be a pet, the other one will eat. And so I said, I'd rather not get out, because I'm not going to sit there and have 2 pigs, one that has a life that it lives and the other has a life that, I know I'm probably not making these. I'm kind of making them loose, and that's okay. I told my dad, it's like, I'm not going to have a pig, one that has the opportunity to live with us for as long as it can live, and then one we're going to slaughter. So we never got pigs because I couldn't reconcile having 2 and then having to choose between one. So I never had any pigs. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I prefer, I think a lot of us who are homesteaders and things like that, if it came down to it, eating meat that you raised or that is local, like let's say, a local animal producer, whether it's cattle, whether it's pig, it can cost a good amount of money to do it that way. But I would much rather eat something from a homestead or somebody raising with a good life than, the life that a chicken from a store lives. It's not pretty. The life that produce raised meat live. And so if I had to choose, yeah, I'm very comfortable with eating from something that was here at the home or, locally. I think it's a better, I shouldn't say the word better. I think it's the more optimal, because even the things we eat, and if what scripture tells us about sort of the things that have been provided to us on the earth, I think we should be able to respect those things as they are alive and as they become food for us. So that's probably a long-winded philosophy. So Life with Serena, I'm making an Italian wedding soup. I did not anticipate how long it will take to like roll meatballs. I probably should, if I had kids, I'd have a couple of hands in here. And for those of you who make meatballs have made meatballs throughout your entire life, if I am ruining the tradition of meatballs, my apologies. I respect those of you who have been doing this for centuries. So forgive me if I'm doing something, if I'm breaking any rules here. So let's see. Let me make sure we had our pet Sal's. Pet was Boar. Yeah, so Uncle Bob, there is a group of we had wild hogs in the spring, spring and into summer. Started out as two, then a third one showed up at some point, and then 3 quickly somehow became 11. And they're the most adorable little wild feral hogs I've ever seen in my life. I want to make them pets. That's not my husband's plan, but if you know anything about boars, you better know what you're doing if you're trapping them. Oop. Sorry about that. Cooking has very few rules. I love it. So yeah, this is very time consuming. I think this is like more time consuming than making gnocchi. Gnocchi can be time consuming. I hope to make some. If I get some good beets this year, I'll make some beet gnocchi and live stream that. But it looks like anytime you cook with beets, it looks like a murder scene. I hope I can say that on a YouTube channel. Hopefully I don't get banned. But beets can kind of be intense. There's a reason that used to be used for red dye, because it gets everywhere. Yeah, so these wild hogs, I really just want to keep them as pets. And the story behind these feral hogs is that they actually, there's a family here who raises hogs, but they are not the best owners because they allow these hogs to get out. Everyone knows who they originally belonged to, but these people refuse to keep them on their property, and so they eventually become feral. It does not take... So again, and if I'm saying anything incorrect, my homesteaders will correct me. Domestic pigs, when they become feral, they grow their tusks back. And so they can be very mean, very aggressive. My recurring nightmare is actually of being chased by feral hogs. But I still, look, they're so cute. My saying is, hogs are both delicious and cute at the same time. They're a conundrum. But they are a conundrum. But they are very cute. Yeah, Uncle Bob, thank you for that. It does take very little time for them to return to feral, and how we attract them. And Uncle Bob, you have to let me know if y'all do this up here, if y'all trap them. But of course, there's corn feed and things like that, but you kind of make a concoction of I think it's my husband used grape Kool-Aid, but you basically ferment corn, the corn feed in a mixture of water, and you get some grape Kool-Aid packet, and you let that ferment, and then you set it out, and that brings them in. You can bury it, you can do whatever, and they will find it every time. So, and I do know how to dress animal. My mom, again, we were raised hunting, so she knows how to. My husband, of course, does. I do. My mom knows how to dress an animal, and basically just dressing an animal typically, just means, skinning, taking the skin off, doing all the things you need to do with the innard parts and stuff, and all that stuff. So. We don't tend to hunt the deer on the property just because I don't know what happened in our area. Y'all will have to let me know kind of locally, depending on where y'all are, if this is an issue. But the deer pop from when, so, okay, I've got to be careful. So I grew up near a wild game reserve. So deer were prolific. They were everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Since moving back to the area, I feel like the deer population has just dwindled, and I don't know if it's because of overhunting, if it's disease. You have a lot of people that just, they don't follow the tag rules when it comes to sort of the age of the deer and how many. So I don't know the cause, but my husband is and I think a lot of people are. And I think at first I was kind of surprised by this because I think, a lot of people have notions about Texans and hunting and stuff like that. But my husband is a very, I don't want to say a conscientious hunter, but he believes in a balance. So he prefers using his, for especially deer hunting, he prefers using his bow versus a rifle. He likes the idea of, waiting, kind of playing the, it's something about that waiting period. And he doesn't believe in sort of the overhunting of things. He doesn't believe in the overfishing of stuff. He doesn't believe in the overhunting of things. He's not a fan of those game, like where I call them deer cow pastures, where people raise the deer literally just to be hunted. There's no, I'm not saying that, maybe I am saying there's not, when you raise something like like cattle and then call it a hunt, I don't know about all that. But again, this is just my opinion. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert. The population, yeah, there has to be a balance. I mean, look at things like whether it's bees and stuff like that. When the animals start going, we're not. Yeah, when the animals start going, we're guess what's next, right? So it's important that we pay attention to what's happening, with the animal world. So, but that's enough of me waxing on. Any fun questions? Oh, you're on the hill country. Yes. Oh, you're in you're in that gorgeous part of Texas. I mean, there's a lot of gorgeous parts of Texas. Oh, I need a beehive. I've got to get started with bees. Okay, this is a lot. Okay, next. Okay, so this is what happens when you double the recipe. Right, plan ahead. You're going to end up with a lot of meatballs. But it's good. It's going to, like I said, it's going to last a few days. I'm just worried I didn't make enough carrots, and I can always add more carrots and celery later. Kind of worried. I'm going to have to cook in batches. So, stay with me if you're able to is what I would say. You know what? That's okay. The smart person to me would be multitasking, right? Let me finish these and then I'll do it here in a minute. Because then I'll move the camera over. Yeah, I could freeze some. That would be the smart thing to do. From South Texas, hour from South. Okay, so we have a lot of Texans here. Hey, Mr. Randomville, good to see you. I'm Traveling Tea, good to see you. Make sure y'all connect with each other. It's hashtag chickens. Yeah, I don't think I made it. I don't. Yeah, I'll do it later, but I'm going to have to add more celery and stuff to this. I mean, I probably have enough. According to the recipe, I have more than enough. But I like a good amount of veggies in. Okay. So thank you to my mods. I have DeBossway. Joe is in here. I believe Kenny K was here for a bit. I know it's a Monday, so I know there's different people doing lives and stuff, but do make sure you're connecting and growing. I know it's also the holiday week. Like I said, to those who were first here, I'm kind of making this because we're not going to necessarily do the quote unquote traditional Thanksgiving here. So we just wanted to have other food. We're going to my in-laws' house for the Christmas Day. We're actually going to do carne asada. And then I agreed to make a cuatro leches cake. Unfortunately, so cuatro leches cake is the 4 milks are evaporated milk. Sweetened condensed milk, and then sweetened condensed milk, and let's see, evaporated milk, sweetened condensed milk, and then there's just regular milk that you use for the cake itself. And then I am going to make caramel. They did not have it at the store, so I'm going to make it. And you basically you don't have to use evaporated milk to make caramel, but I'm going to do the recipe that calls for it. Since it's 4 milks, I need 4 milks. And then you put some Cool Whip on top. So, okay, so those are made. So I'm going to wash my hands, and then I'm going to touch them again. Okay, so get this pot going. I'll move the camera over momentarily. I don't need it on high. I just need it on medium something. Let me get rid of things I don't need anymore. I had a bag over here. I could put my eggs in the eggshell area. I'm going to clean up. Here we go. In this area a bit. Okay, I'm gonna do again. If I'm sauteing something, I do olive oil versus extra virgin olive oil. And it will tell you, extra virgin is more of a finisher. You put on salads, use as a dip. Whereas non-extra virgin olive oil is more for sauteing, marinating, etc. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're going to the in-laws' house. They're making tri-tip is so good. Pozole, nice. Yeah, homemade. So my only issue about making homemade caramel is you have a lot of caramel now, and so it's like I'm only using it for one tres leche cake, so it becomes a thing of like, what do I do with the rest of it, right? Okay, so I need to be smart about how I do this. Put that over there. Okay, so let me get another container. I'm just going to go ahead and cook all of these, and then if I freeze some, I freeze some. So that's not a bad idea to go ahead and freeze what I don't eat or what I don't need for the soup. But you kind of, okay, that's hot. Let me get my wooden spoon. That's not what I want. I want this one, and then I need to be able to pick these up all together once they're done. So, okay. So one of the things I miss about I moved back to Texas because we had a gas stove when we lived on the East Coast, and I miss my gas stove severely. So let's see. Hopefully y'all can see that better. And I'll get back to the chat here in a second. And at least try to make a single layer. I don't want them too crowded. I picked the most tedious thing to make, right? Those watch hours, right? So Kendi K, if you're still on, I know this isn't a true one pot meal, but I suppose once everything is cooked, it becomes one pot. All right. Looks like there's some room in the corner there. Hopefully I don't start a house fire. Yeah, this is a lot of meatballs. All I did was double the recipe. I think sometimes when you double a recipe, you actually end up tripling it. And again, you're not going to let these go to a full cook because they're going to cook in the. They're going to also cook in the soup. Okay, that's good enough. And I'll move them around here in a second. I'll look at the chat while that's browning. Yeah, those eggs they're so pretty. Hey, baby girl, good to see you. Hey, Dr. J, good to see you. We're cooking an Italian wedding soup. Great question. Italian wedding soup. You're growing olive trees? So, okay, yeah. I attempted one, but it got too, I did not bring it in during the cold. So please let me know if you've done a vlog on it. Let me know and I'll get over there. If you have not done a vlog, please do one and let us know what you're doing. I would love to have an olive tree. So the first time I ever went to Italy, it's when I got to so my favorite place to stay. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. My favorite place to stay in southern Italy is oh gosh, and you can see some of them are breaking apart, but that's okay. My favorite place to stay in Italy is San Agnello. San Agnello. It's 20 minutes south. Wait, no. 20 minutes north of a 20-minute walk north of Sorrento. Sorrento is known for its lemons, stuff like that. Anyway, I did a walk into Sorrento. And I really wanted, you know what? I'm telling the wrong story. This was not in Sorrento. This was when I was in, where were we? We were not in Sorrento. We went to Capri. We were in Capri. And so we went into Capri. We wanted some fresh seafood. I walked in to we went to this one restaurant first. And we asked them if they do fresh seafood. And they're like, no. And I'm looking because literally there's the Mediterranean Ocean to my right. I'm sitting at a table. The Mediterranean Ocean is quite literally to my right. And I'm asking if they do fresh seafood. And they're like, no. So we ordered some water. I think we got a quick appetizer. And then the waiter comes back. He was so sweet. The waiter comes back, slips a note underneath our napkin. And when we look at the note, it's a list of restaurants that serve fresh seafood. So sweet. Though tipping is not a tradition, or tipping is not a thing in Italy, we did leave a nice sort of thank you because he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to put a note under the napkin and tell us where to get seafood, right? And again, I'm not cooking it all the way through because it's going to cook in the soup. And so we get to this other restaurant. I walk in and I say, and they welcome us. And I walk in my broken Italian, I say that I want a lobster. Like I want a lobster. So he says, hold on a second. Let me check the boat, and that's literally the boat that went out to catch fish that day. And he says, got it. And then maybe X number of minutes later, probably 30 minutes later, comes back and he shows me this beautiful lobster that they just caught, right? And then he asked me how I wanted it prepared. I think I did some sort of lobster linguine or something like that. Let's go with that. Anyway, while we were, waiting for things to cook, surrounded in this restaurant is nothing but olive trees, right? And so he brings me out I think we had a drink and he brought me out 3 olives, and I ate the olives. They're the most, I've never tasted anything like it. They weren't in preservatives. They weren't in, the preservatives that we have to add here because of shipping and because of preservation. It was pure olives from these trees, right? I don't even know how to explain it. It tastes like butter. You can get, if you do the I can never say it, Castigliano olives, you can get it close to it, but those are even preserved here because they need to be preserved. But they're the best things on the planet. Anyway, he came back to the table and I said, can I have a giant cup of these olives? And he literally brought me back a giant cup of nothing but olives. It was the best thing ever. So that's my olive story. So I would love to cook olives. Yeah, it was really good. It was $99 later. It was the most amazing lobster I ever had. So let's see. I know I've missed some people. My apologies. Hey, Wakeview Travel. Good to see you. Confused cat. Sorry, confused cat. I have 3 confused cats in my home. So it's good to see y'all connecting with each other. Yeah, so Hen House, long story short, I know I took y'all down a long road of my love for olives, but I would love to see, and all these things are breaking up because I did not do tight. But that's okay. It's going to break up in the soup anyway. I'm not mad at it. I think one of the songs The Boss Way made for me talks about, I don't seek, I used to have a mindset where everything had to be perfect, and somewhere along the way, I've dropped that mindset. Strive for excellence, I believe, is important, to strive for excellence. But to strive for perfection, it's not going to get you much of anywhere. But you can strive for excellence and being a good person, though. Those things are worth striving for. But, I'm not going to strive for perfection for something I know that's going to taste good, even if the meatballs are broken up. Again, these are as you're coming in, if you're like, oh, I still see red. Again, I'm not, they're going to cook down in the soup. Okay, let me get to, I should have had some of these cooked already when I came in, but that's okay. That's okay. Just a couple more batches. And then I gotta, let's see if I have something to glaze the bottom of this. I need to be using that wooden spoon to try to deglaze some of it. I'll use some of the broth to deglaze the bottom. Okay. What are some of y'all cooking for, cooking either for today, the holidays, or, what's a meal that you look forward to making? Are some of y'all cooking free for the holidays? Because that's always a nice thing, too. When you don't have to be responsible for the meal. Halakas. I don't know. Tell me more, Grace. Tell me more about halakas. I don't think I know that. You have a roast. Oh, I love roast. That's good. Roast is good. Yeah, so if gnocchi, Timmy is GNCCHI, gnocchi. It's actually a potato dumpling. The traditional is potato, but you can also do butternut squash. You can do acorn squash. I do beets is actually my favorite form of gnocchi. It's basically whatever, whether it's a whether it's potato, a beet, squash, whatever. It's basically, you know, that product to include eggs and flour, whatever flour of you're choosing. All right. And so gnocchi, it's easy to put together, but it's, you know, you got to roll it out. You know, you got to form it into a dough. You got to steam. Whether you're doing potatoes, beets, or whatever, you have to either steam them or roast them so they're soft. And then you add flour, and then you add your egg, and you form a pasta out of it. And you form the pasta dough, and then I usually cut it, once I have the pasta dough form, I usually cut it in sections of 8, and sometimes even more than that, depending on how big your pasta ball is. And then you basically, you know, cut it in 8 pieces, so to speak. And then you got to roll it out into like a long string. And then you cut it to make little dumplings. That's gnocchi. Now, some people roll it out so you have the ridges in them. I don't do that. But it tastes, if you do it right, if you can get it all right, you got the balance right, you got the flour right, you got the egg, you got the kneading, all the things, you got all those things right, it tastes like you're eating pillows. And the most basic recipe, if you do a potato gnocchi, the most basic recipe you can do with a potato gnocchi is do a sage and butter sauce. And it's divine. It's absolutely divine. And I usually, like I said, I usually do it with beets. And if you do it with beets, I usually do a pesto for a sauce, just a basil pesto. So if my garden's doing really well, other than the flour, that entire meal is made from something in my home. So the eggs from the chicken, the beets from the garden, the pesto I make with, you know, the garlic and the basil from the garden, stuff like that. So it's if you need to get rid of some vegetables, it's a good way to get rid of some vegetables. Because you can it freezes well too. It freezes very well. Let these cook a little bit. Well, let's see. Not sure if I ever had homemade and my husband cooked. Yeah, tell me, get them in there. Yeah, I love saying the word gnocchi. That's a fun word to say. Oh, rich and savory. Oh, great. That sounds so good. Promise you'll show us pictures. Because I love each of those things in there, especially olives and capers are the best. Sounds so delicious. Yeah, hopefully I get some beets and I'll do some gnocchi there. It's such a good meal. Let's see. Yeah, that's smart. I see what you said, Hardrine. It's smart to kind of switch up. You know, let everyone take responsibility. I'm pretty old, never ate vegetables, but older now. Yeah, we gotta have that nutrient. And so, to my homesteaders and gardeners in the community, she's probably gonna. She doesn't know that I'm doing this, but I'm about to do this. The Boss Way, our good friend Hardrine, she's really wanting to kind of get started on gardening. I think we probably have a couple people that want to get started on gardening. So I know many of them are starting to kind of follow your channel. So if you get opportunities to kind of do a, hey, spring 2026, how to get started, you know, let's make sure we're really supporting those who want to get started with, you know, I don't know, Hardrine, I don't know if you've decided on raised beds or container gardening yet, but you know, there's lots of options. You know, there's a lot of people on here that are getting into the hydroponic gardening and doing very well with the hydroponics. But, you know, it's good for the kiddos to get involved with gardening. I loved being in the soil as a kid. You know, many of us on here, we know I dug for worms to go fishing with, and would grab the little grubs and night crawlers and everything for fishing. So it's good for kids to get in the dirt. So it's a good hobby. We'll be later. Okay, got it. Understood. That's where I've eaten at night. Hen house, I want some seeds. Yeah, so gnocchi, Gnoccich, gnocchi. And I like making my own pastas. My niece was here last week. She did a surprise visit for us, and yeah, she surprised us with a visit. And she's a very picky eater, but she likes spaghetti. So guess what I did? I broke out the pasta machine and we made some spaghetti. So that was nice to do. I'm looking for some white cooking wine, which I don't think I have any. I have everything, but why don't I have any white wine in here? I have red cooking wine. I'll just use chicken broth, I guess. I don't know where my white cooking wine is. I need a, what do they call? Oh, there it is. Nope, that's simple syrup. Oh, well. I don't know where my white wine is. I don't have it. Okay. I'll just use some broth to deglaze this real quick. Okay. We have endured the meatball odyssey of 2025. So if you survive that, you can survive anything. Okay. So I transferred to the plate. Okay, so I'm going to drain because I can actually just use this oil in here. Okay, so this will be pretty much the remainder of this. I'm going to clean some of this off and drain some of this. I'm going to bring the temperature down a little bit. This is probably not going to be wise. I'm going to not do this over the camera. But I'm kind of deglaze this oil a bit. Just a tad. So, because I don't want that burnt taste on the bottom. Okay. I didn't know how much steam was going to happen. I guess that would have been a good effect. Some steam coming off the pot. Okay. Sorry. I'm not making a roux or anything. I just wanted to deglaze the bottom a bit. Yeah, I need to get, apparently I don't have any white wine in the house. But that's okay. Okay, so some of this is flavor. I'm going to take some of it out because I don't need that much flavor. Let's see. I know half of y'all are probably saying leave it. The other half is saying, yeah, take some out. I won't read the debate going on. Let's see. Come on. Oh, that's actually pretty good. Okay, I just want some of it out because I just don't want that burnt flavor. Okay. Let's turn that heat up to medium. And now for the... Actually, I'll just reserve the juice. I need a... So funny thing about... Where's the cup at? I want to... So this is my mom's cup from growing up. Her little measuring cup. And one time when I went home from school... I don't know. Y'all probably have already gathered I'm a very odd duck. But one time when I was home from college, conversation about the things we wanted for our inheritance. But I basically went into the kitchen, took that cup, and I've had it ever since. And then when my mom came to live with us, the very first time she stayed with us, the very first time she opened that drawer, she was like, "Oh, I've been looking for this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I took that because I didn't want anybody to lay claim to it." Okay. So let us get put a little bit in here. And then basically we're going to dump all the important stuff. Let's see, we're going to do carrots, onions, and celery. And they're just going to soften. So carrots, onions, celery. So that was about, that was probably 6 carrots, 2 onion, and 4 celery ribs. Again, I doubled my recipe. Again, the original recipe is in the comments. Like I said, I double it. And so that's how many I use. And then we're going to have a stir party. And I'll look at the chat. You have your grandma. Oh, I would love a good paring knife. Uncle Bob, I would love a good paring knife. Yeah, chicken, they're going to help with the soil for sure. Yeah, these baby chickens, I've already decided if I have, I have the 5 little chicks that are now heading into week 6. I'm confident, and I think many of you in the chat are probably confident too when y'all see them, that I at least have 2 roosters in this little batch, if not a third. And I think I've decided I'm going to kind of, let them stay in the aviary overnight for protection, and then let them live in the garden to kind of enjoy all the bugs. But they'll be watched, and they'll be again, if I have 3 roosters, they'll put up a good fight for any predator that shows up. So this is basically going to saute for a bit. That's pretty much all that will be dumped so far. I'll put 16 cups. I think it's going to end up being like 16 cups of broth, chicken broth in here. Once I add the garlic, which I'll do here in a second. And then salt and pepper, and then okay, there it goes. I don't know what just happened there. It's been doing that at like an hour for some reason. Hey, Vanessa, good to see you. Yeah, so Uncle Bob, we're really gonna go, like y'all can see, we have a knife block over here. We've had that for several years. My husband does sharpen it. But it smells so good. My husband does sharpen it, but I think what we're going to gift ourselves over a course of the year is just buy the knives individually. There's a company, he got his little, I guess, I don't know, call it a utility knife, and don't ask me what company it is because I'm not going to remember. Anyway, we're just going to do the knives individually so that we have good knives and everything. So it does freeze well, yeah. And I'm going to see what the meatballs look like. I'll probably freeze some. I'll just put it in another dish at some point. Yeah, this... Candy K, you don't know how much we all love you. This definitely violates the 5 ingredient rule. Unless you look at the meatballs are a thing, and then the soup are another thing, and then, there's 5 ingredients in both. Just have to look at it differently. Now, Have Fun in Nature, did I completely miss you and Oki's collaboration? I feel like the last couple of weeks have been crazy. I know Oki's and you were going to do a collab. Did that already happen and I completely missed it? Have Fun in Nature?